Is there anybody there?
They're probably going to go and be the Las Vegas A's for a couple years. They're probably going to do that so they can sell a ton of merch.
What's up, Deadhead Group, and welcome to part two, and so the final episode, because I thought I had it set up for 3 parts, but I didn't. It's only a two-parter, so yeah. Well, I never claimed I was good at math, so there's that. Anyway, here's the final episode between my conversation between myself and Dan Napoli. He is the director of 50 Summers. It was a great conversation. We talked about some of his work that he's doing. Obviously, I also give you the continuation of the great story that I left at the end of the last episode. You guys thought I was going to give it to you, right? You guys thought we're like, oh, yeah, no. Right? So, I am going to go ahead and give you the episode, and yeah, enjoy.
A narrator I've worked with on a number of my films, God bless him, who's also a huge baseball fan, a guy named Matty Marshall out in San Diego. And Matt's getting ready to go on his honeymoon to Italy.
Oh, man.
And we get an email that's like, so we're prepped to have Matt cut this.
Mm-hmm.
And we get an email from Rob's management that's like, yeah, Mr. Rickles, Rob would like to do it. Maybe sometime this week. And that's it. And so I remember, so God bless, it was like a day off for them. Matt found a studio in Italy, sends it to me, like I'm booking him in because I can't miss, like this is his last open date. And then he's incommunicado for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I haven't got like the details from Rob's people yet. So I basically pull an all-nighter with the time difference. I record, I produce in, I like Skype in to Italy.
Yeah.
For Matt's VO session. Stay up, get the email from Wriggle's manager to figure out, okay, what studio we're going to go bring him into, and then stay up and produce that. And he was super awesome. He came in, I think I still have the picture on my phone somewhere. I'll send it to you after this so you can drop it in. They did like these special, the year the Royals won the World Series.
Yeah.
They did these like special, like KC Royals vans for like those guys. And so so Rob wore those into the studio.
That's so cool, man.
Yeah. And took a picture of it and was like, again, super cool and super gracious, was asking, me questions about how we went about doing it. Was like, dude, congrats to you guys. Like he's like, I know it's really hard to make a film, which was awesome. Like he could have just been like, dude, I'm here for my gig. Like I'm in, I'm out.
Yeah.
But you can kind of tell that, that Midwest guy and he's just a real down to earth dude. So he was super cool to work with.
That's so cool though, like to be able to have like, because right, you want to, like, as soon as you start the documentary, you get those voices that you recognize, right? And I'm like, oh man, this is gonna be a good documentary. Here we go. And that was cool. Then of course George Brett. I'm like, what is going on in this place, man? I'm like, these are some like heavy hitters when it comes to the world of baseball.
The George Brett was a big one. I think our producer Bill Hipsher said that's the one that broke his heart the most. He couldn't be at. He was gonna fly in to this. We shot that in Phoenix at
spring training. Yep.
So I guess I take that back. That was same concept, but one other. So there were 3 little mini sets.
Yeah.
Because we got him, Jersh, Alex Gordon. And then Bob Quinn, who is the general manager and is the gentleman. Like, so it's Bob Quinn's voice that opens the film and probably has the coolest like voice of God quote of the like. It starts, fathers take their sons to the ballpark. That's all Bob Quinn.
It gave me instant chills, dude.
Who is like just the sweetest person. And I again a little embarrassed. I didn't know his absolute baseball badass pedigree,
Mm-hmm.
like worked for Steinbrenner, was the GM of like the Reds with like the Nasty Boys. It was like Dibble and those dudes in 1990 and Barry Larkin, and had like crazy Marge Shot stories about like her dog coming in his office and pooping. If you remember, she used to carry that stupid little like shot seat, I think it was. Um, and so he had a ton of like incredible memorabilia, and he's like a third generation baseball man, which is wild. I think his grandpa was even a GM. I don't, they didn't call him
Jesus.
that, but like in the like late 1800s. So that all happened in Phoenix, and like Bill had some business conflicts, so he was not able to like to fly in for that. George Brett and all of that other stuff. So Brett was the big one that.
That was cool. Like, I mean, like I said, it's so wild to me that fact that like you're just like it's like a ever moving agenda of things. It's like, all right, so this is not happening. All right, let's move this over. Let's do this. Let's do that. And it's like the fact that you are able to, at the end of the day, grab all of that footage and put a great, piece of art out there. It's so cool, dude. Like, I mean, like I said, I'm a huge fan. So,
I
and I'm
appreciate
like,
that, man.
man,
So, dude, I gotta ask you. I'm fascinated because I haven't. You, I mean, I guess there's always,
yeah,
of course, Jim, but like I'd say, as we already know each other, Austin Revolution Film Festival is very good to us. So I have to ask you because you're the first person I know that from out of market saw the movie first
yep,
and then went to Warner Park and saw a game there.
yep.
So I have to ask you, like, what was that experience like? How did it connect? Was it weird seeing it on film first?
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of minor league baseball. I'll be honest. Like, I love the majors. Like, my team is the Guardians and all that. Right? Horrible name, I know. But like, minor league baseball is where is that, right? Because it's like and Jim says this all the time, right? It's like, this is true Americana right here, right? Like, I mean, you get to see America through the eyes of baseball right here. And when I was so my friend Paul Caputo, I flew to Denver and then drove from Denver at 4:30 in the morning to make it that day, right? Him and his girlfriend Amy, like we drove and we got
Wow.
there before because we are going to do a tour, right, of the ballpark. And to see the ballpark, you see all the guys that were stoked, that were getting ready, they were hosing the concourse and everything, making sure that everything was clean. It's a different experience like that than a lot of people don't get to have. Like, if you ever get to a ballpark and you do it, like if you want to get a tour, call the team. I guarantee you somebody will give you a tour of the ballpark, right? But
Yeah.
to see it in person and then make that connection was so cool, right? Like, I mean, it was like that moment and was like, man, I'm seeing it through different lenses now, right? And
Yeah.
it was a cool experience to see, like all the people there at the game, the fans, the players, the concessions, the store. And I'm like, we were there before even everybody was there, and I already wanted to buy a bunch of stuff. you know
Dude, I love Jim's quote, like that it's really resonating with me. It really resonated with me before. I mean, I was having this discussion with somebody, like, do you know, in a weird way, like that concept, in a way, that minor league baseball is America, because not a raw populace, but a city, more cities experience minor league baseball than major league baseball. Just that
mm-hmm.
you think about that. There's 168 or whatever it's been cut to now.
Yeah.
And that sort of fascinates me too. So it's a weird thing of like, if you throw a dart, you close your eyes and you throw a dart into the US map, right? And you don't hit a major city, it's more likely that like that person is going to have a minor league baseball experience in common with you than, there's only 32 pro teams, man.
That's it.
There's a lot more cities.
Right. Prime example. I'm in Raleigh here in North Carolina,
Yeah.
right? I can literally within a half an hour, I can have my choice of minor league baseball.
Yeah.
Right? You got the Mudcats, you got the Durham Bulls, right? Like, I mean, there's a lot of teams within here. college, college would bet, the Holly Springs Elementary, which
Yeah.
is like 10 minutes away from me right now. So it's like major cities with a minor league ball team, and like you said, only 32 major league teams.
Dude, the thing that was really I thought was really awesome was you just mentioned the folks that you went to Denver with. Is that whom in that group when we were at the
Yep.
Chasers game? Who's the guy that works in like a single A or a double A? Do
That's
you know who that?
Jess.
So it was awesome standing with him and his wife because he's like as the Chasers game day are doing stuff, promotions, and there's stuff on the board, and that's
Yep.
he's like, well, we do that. Well, we don't do that. Well, I wonder why they do this. Well, this and that. And what's neat that struck me about that, this kind of ties in your point from earlier, is um, you go to a major league game, and yeah, there's some variances, but at the end of the day, like structurally, like a Rockies game, a Guardians game,
Yep.
like they're meant to be fully regulated.
Mm-hmm.
What's cool is you go to a minor league game and there's a lot of difference. What Jess is doing where he is, what you're seeing even from the Mudheads to Durham is different. It's a little bit different in Omaha. Like that's kind of neat.
And it is because you have to cater to your crowd, right?
Right.
With Major League Baseball, we know, like, listen, our product is on the field. You're
Yep.
coming to see this. We'll give you a couple of things of entertainment here and there. We'll sprinkle it here and there, but we know that you're coming in to watch the game. In minor league baseball, and this is something that I've been noticing a lot more and more as it goes on. The transition from the obviously you have the ballpark, right, but it's become a social event.
Yeah, for
It's a
sure.
social event, right? Because you and me were having a discussion when we were at the ballpark about, and that's when the Oakland A's just made the announcement that they were, the
Right,
whole
right.
Vegas thing, right? Like, so we were having a conversation, but a big play happened. We stopped talking, saw the play. All right, cool. That's awesome. They scored a run. All right, back to the conversation.
Yeah.
Right. So it's
Yeah.
like,
And there's that talked about in the film a bit, and that, and in a weird way, there was always they thought the change to the agreement to minor league baseball and major league baseball in the early 90s was going to kill it. But it actually did the opposite because it let those minor league teams, and I think now you've seen it come full circle where like major league parks or major league clubs are stealing concepts from.
yeah, they
And
are.
what you're understanding, like this is what I always say. So like my daughter, like so she just graduated. She just finished up classes in her last year of college. Still got hit her internship. We would go to Chasers games, but if you asked her, it's like, "Are you a baseball fan?" She's like, "Oh, absolutely, love baseball, love Storm Chasers." Dude, I don't think we ever watched 9 consecutive outs without moving around.
Yeah.
Like you just have to be able to redefine it. But that's okay because in her mind, and she's supportive of, she's into it. She'll, buy something. She'll come home and be like, yeah, maybe we go to a game. Maybe she's going to take her friends. She's going to go to her kids. You got to be able, and again, we'd notice this from a lot of people that we talked to in the film too, to like expand out this concept that like it's not anymore about just sitting in your box,
Correct.
keeping score with your dad, not moving with the little pencil, even though most of us that's how we maybe came up.
Mm-hmm.
Like you got to let it expand from that. And you've seen with the minor league clubs that have let it expand from that, becoming, like you say, that social experience and those other things around there. They have all of these great like
Yep.
the Chasers, like, dude, you can buy the cheapest ticket and never sit down and have a wonderful experience. You can
Oh,
buy a berm seat,
100%.
just walk around the entire time.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Um,
You have a 360 concourse on a minor league ballpark. That's the best thing there is, because even if you get a general admission or you get at the berm, like I usually would do that now because I have a 4-year-old and I need her to burn as much energy as possible. So when we get home, you go straight to bed, right? But
yeah,
like it is that experience, and yes, you're right. Major League Baseball is noticing, and as you can see, a lot of ballparks are getting smaller. They're taking seats out and putting more party decks and putting this and that because they know it's a social event.
Yeah, for sure. So and that was again, that was really interesting. Like you mentioned earlier, talking to the Brandios guys, and I thought that was fascinating, dude. I probably would have wanted to make their part longer, but I have to
Mm-hmm.
balance the whole story. But their process of how
Oh,
they
it's
figure out those identities for the communities, which can be so fun.
mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, like, did they do the Trash Pandas? Was that
Yep. Uh-huh.
this is amazing? I mean, a
El
minor
Paso
league team.
Chihuahuas, right? So
It,
they are grandiose. It's like I've had them. I have one of the guys on the podcast, and the process, dude, that they go through. They go there, they speak to the people, right? They do all of these other things that not a lot of other designers do. Don't get me wrong. I know a lot of designers that they do their thing. Mad respect to them because that's something that's like in order for you to really understand the community, because that's what it should base. I'm one that believes a minor league team should not have their parent club name, right?
yeah, man, 100. I mean, again, I can't remember who said it in the film, um, but it was like, if the quote, I'm paraphrasing, but is it, if I want to own something that says Royals on it, I want it to say Kansas City. They
Right.
were like, man, we could not. I think it was around that time. Omaha experimented with the golden spikes, and it didn't
For
really work
2 years,
out.
yeah.
Yeah, but they were starting to figure that out. They were starting to see teams around them. Like, dude, I even remember, like, we got the Rockies in 1992, but not very long after we got the Sky Sox. Or they got a new park in Colorado Springs.
Mm-hmm.
But that started to get talked about a bunch because people were like, dude, did you know the minor league club in Colorado Springs, there's a hot tub out in like right field. You would
Yeah.
just be like, what? Okay, what's going on? And then,
Let's go.
right. And then even Coors Field, once they built it, like, it's so commonplace now. But at that time, Camden Yards is probably the first. But like, it was a big deal. It's like, what do you mean you have a brewery and a restaurant, fundamentalist, so
Right.
right in left field, and on the flip side is a fan like, dude, this is awesome. Like, you could actually get, but that was not, commonplace. People are still playing in like the vet, or like, the Cincy Park, where they're like the AstroTurf, like football baseball mixes.
Yeah.
So you started to see some of that stuff kind of like, pop in, and then you saw a lot of folks in minor league baseball really embrace that. And I think, you mentioned him earlier, Parney, the GM for Richmond, and you see it in Marty. I think that comes across in the film. Like, those guys like love their teams, and they like love their community.
Yeah.
Like, that's really how they see themselves as champions, or like ambassadors from their communities. I felt like that came out in the film, in their interviews. I hope it did.
It did. It most certainly did. And I like I said, I couldn't speak more highly of this film just because it resonated with me from like the standpoint of like community love of a ballpark of a ball team, right? And then that and the one part that I really love that you guys really told the story is that realization early on when they were having the discussions of if they could share the ballpark,
Yeah,
right? That instant realization as soon as they left, whether or not it was like a great conversation, was like, where they're like, shit, yeah, we're not gonna be downtown. Like
that
it,
was, and
yeah,
dude, that was such a big. I had just moved to Omaha, and the time that started getting, and you still get it, now.
yeah.
Like, um, I think that's the thing. I mean, it's fascinating too in this world of podcasting, right? And that's is in all sports, to have some of this, peeled back. Um, Sometimes fans don't really understand the business
Mm-hmm.
of the sports.
Yeah,
So
oh
we
yeah.
still hear it here sometimes too, where it's like, I can't believe we've got that ballpark downtown, and it's empty half of the time. And you're like, yeah, but if you listen to the people like the economics of it, like it
In those
makes
2 weeks that
total
they're there,
sense, dude.
it pays itself.
Yeah. And then on the flip side, you understand, why a downtown ballpark could be super cool for, the Storm Chasers, but it couldn't be that ballpark. Because, like,
No.
I can tell you, like, I mean, again, I do as a caveat, like, I didn't grow up here, so I was already an adult by the time I was going
Correct.
to
Yeah.
Royals games at Rosenblatt. Royals games at Rosenblatt sucked, dude. They were so it's just look, there's an old, I'm also a huge music person, right? And so
Right.
there's an old adage in booking bands
Mm-hmm.
that, like, and bands are like, I would rather play to a full room of 500 people than 500 people in a 1,500 seater, even if it's a nicer venue and we can charge more money. At least
Yep.
I'm coming from, like, punk rock and alternative
Mm.
rock, because of the energy of the crowd. The bigger it gets, so it would be so frustrating. It's a giant stadium.
It
Now, it
was
was
massive.
amazing for college baseball, for the College World Series. It was
Yeah, because
magnificent.
it packed. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
but the energy's off the roof, dude. There's games you can't even get into if you want to get tickets. Occasionally, those
Mm-hmm.
things get sold out. The flip side, you would go to Royals games, and just no matter how hard, Marty and his team worked, or even if they drew good crowds, 5,000 people in a 17,000 seater,
Oh,
that just doesn't feel good.
not only that, and then when they were talking about it, that they would put tarp over a big, huge section of that ballpark, right? Advertising, whatever it was, and like Marty understood early on. I'm like, we're never gonna fill this ballpark. It's
Yeah.
just not gonna happen. We're not college baseball. We're not gonna compete with college baseball. So let's do what we need to do in order for us to mitigate that.
Well, and dude, right? I mean, you can speak to that from where you're at too. As you go around, the league, there's not a whole lot of 17,000 seaters for the minor
No.
league parks, or whatever Rosenblatt used to see. So that was the thing too, where it wasn't even like snottiness or whatever. It's just, hey, like, dude, sometimes business needs just go in different directions, right?
And I don't think there was any ill will or anything like that from what I got out of this. They knew really, like, there's some things that they need, like just like the naming rights they were talking about, like concessions, ticketing, and things like that. That they minor league baseball survives on those things,
Yeah,
right?
totally.
On sponsorships, on merchandise sales. So it's like it was very hard for them to say, we'll go with you guys. But then at the same time, oh, but by the way, you're not gonna get this. College baseball is just gonna get this. I'm like, oh wait, never mind. We'll move.
Yeah, and I think, folks can see in retrospect, it's probably worked out. I know the area around, where Werner Park has started to pick up some ground in the ways,
Mm-hmm.
like, there's some kind of the cool condos behind there. There's some things that are starting to build up around that area.
Yeah.
So as time goes on, but yeah, that was an interesting um, conflict of the film. I love that scene where Lori, one of the GMs in Omaha, talked about that, like, she had to go out and take the call from her husband, and was like, "Oh God, we just turned down a job. Wait, are we gonna be?"
Yeah, that was like I was like, wait, Sugarland? What are you talking about? Like we just turned down the job and right there.
Yeah,
And that's the sad part. Like, I mean, eh, to see a team move
yeah.
anywhere.
I mean, we were talking about the A's, man, when you were
The
out
A's,
in Omaha.
yeah, just found out, like, the Down East Wood Ducks, they're moving down to from North Carolina to South Carolina, right? To Spartanburg, right? Like, I mean,
Wow.
so it's like a lot of people don't understand. I was like, oh, it's not gonna sell. It's like, you don't understand. That is a big area for, like, for jobs, for economic progress for that area. That leaves a void there now. And
Yeah,
Omaha was going to have a void if the Storm Chasers left.
yeah, and a lot of those, I mean, and it's interesting too how you have a thing. So, Gary Hill and the Storm Chasers also owns Union Omaha.
Mm-hmm.
Soccer team's doing amazing.
Which, by the way, they share the same ballpark.
Yeah,
It's
I
amazing.
don't know, you know, I don't know that Omaha gets that soccer team if
Warner Park
the
wasn't there.
or just if the Chasers leave, like you're
Yeah.
talking about what anchors some of these minor league teams are in the cities they're in. I know
Hmm.
it was 10 years before, but that's kind of my point. It's like if they leave, well, what happens? I don't know that kind of, for a lot of these cities, again, folks we talked to in the film and the research and stuff like that, for a lot of these cities, that is a bit of the driver and civic pride, or even some things that are kind of there. And so when those things move, they leave a void.
Hmm. Let me ask you, and because I'm also interested in the storyline that you were talking about, and then I want to tie this up to Brandios. We are just talking about them. They're moving into Warner Park, but they're also not only are they moving there, but they're moving as a leaving a team name into a
Right.
brand new team name. I'm sure that, and you live there, right? So like that dynamic within the fans, right? Like, I was like, oh, we were the Royals, but like understanding that, like, there were limitations to what they could do as the Royals because of the
Yeah, for
licensing
sure.
side.
Yeah, for sure. I think that was just from my perspective, I think by the time, because really, if you run the gamut, I think Omaha was I think it's fair to say they were kind of on the back half of the curve of the
Hmm.
name changes.
Yeah.
So I think people were a little bit more chill with it because they had started to, either see or read or like, whatever. They go to their cousin's graduation in North Carolina and they end up going to a ball game, and you started seeing around the league, there weren't a lot of teams that were the, Richmond Yankees. They're the Flying Squirrels. And you're like, well, that looks fun and like that looks cool. So I think, generally speaking, people are resistant to change, right?
Yeah, it's
Baseball,
how it always.
especially.
Yeah. Oh
Um,
my God, don't get me started on that.
right. But I think it went I kind of like that concept too, of basically like, dude, like let's just be new, right?
Yeah, let's rip the
Like,
band-aid. Let's go. We're about to move into a new place. Let's start fresh, and then go in with good momentum
yeah,
into the ballpark. And it's listen,
I
it works.
probably, I mean, dude, in retrospect, now that you bring it up, I mean, I probably should have explored it a little bit deeper to see, um, was there really ever a strong movement? Like, how much was there to be like, no? I mean, I know, we talked to Mark Nasser in the film about it, but was like, no, we should move into the new place and hang on. Dude, just like we were talking about with the A's,
Right.
right? They're probably going to go and be the Las Vegas A's for a couple years. They're probably going to do that so they can sell a ton of merch.
Of course, right. They
And
got
then
to
they're going
pay
to
for
have a
that.
new
Yeah,
name.
exactly. Oh, absolutely. But and listen, I may be in the minority in that, but I think it is going to be like that. Like they're going to have it for like a few years, right? It was like, well, okay, we just moved. Let's take care of the move. And all right, so now that we're here, we're settled. Let's transition into something Vegas, whatever the
Right.
ace.
And open our
Yeah,
new stadium with a new identity.
yeah, the Vegas
That
Blackjacks or
makes a
whatever.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. And I think, not that I'm any kind of, sports economic expert, but i feel
Right.
i feel like Omaha did it the right way with that. And I think that the results have been, um have been solid with that. I think that was a good,
Yeah.
way for them to do it, stadium and logo, and kind of in this one swoop.
And like I said, they also went ahead and they hired one of the top brands, out there. Like, they are known for making these things, right? In
Yeah.
Brandios, and man, they that's a beautiful logo. That's a beautiful logo. Let's be honest. It's just that's how it goes. So and before we go into now my last part of the um the episode here, is there anything else that I haven't asked, man? This is your moment too, my friend. I mean, we've we've had a really good conversation about baseball overall in the
That's
documentary.
been super fun, man.
So anything
Um,
else?
yeah, I mean, other like so. I mean, currently I've got three docs in the queue.
Nice.
Working on that action sports documentary that I was mentioning.
Yep.
And if you're not and for those who are not familiar, those worlds, I mean, this is really this group of guys that we're documenting are really the kind of like what Dogtown and Bones Brigade was to those skateboarding worlds. They really are to this world of pro paintball. Um,
Interesting.
they've kind of, I mean, dude, it's bananas, and I've been covering them one way or another since they were started at 14, like they're 40 now. They've since they've turned pro, they've won, and pro paintball works kind of like pro golf or pro tennis in the way the circuit works in scoring.
Yeah.
um, they've won almost 70 tournaments. They've won almost a third of the events that have they've participated in since
Jesus.
2001. And they're really, really interesting guys. Um, I'm really excited about that film too, because what I always tell folks too is it's like it's not really about paintball. It's really kind of about, to some degree, fathers and sons, strong women raising a lot of kids on their own, and the last generation of what we kind of call be home when the lights are on, because this is late 90s, mid 90s. Everybody doesn't have a cell phone yet. So they're growing up and finding paintball in that world where
Yep.
it's like, okay, you get out of school at 2, I'm home at 5. You're going to go do something in the afternoon. I don't know exactly where you are. I don't
Yep.
know what. And these kids kind of honing there, and they're really, really all very interesting individuals. Working on an MMA documentary with
Whoa.
with former Bellator bantamweight champion Rafion Stotts, who's also an incredible human being. Working on a record store documentary.
She record
Um,
store.
yeah, yeah. So we're yeah, man. So super busy. Dan Napoli Films.com. And Herois Cinema is my production company, but Dan Napoli Films is much more active. I got a Patreon coming out later this summer. So yeah, man, we're
You keeping busy,
keeping
dude.
busy, dude. Yeah, keeping busy telling stories.
That's I love it. I love it. I'm on your website right now looking at some of the photo galleries and things like that. So it's super cool to just to get the behind the scenes shots, right? Like that's some cool stuff. And you're living a dream, dude. You're doing your
Yeah,
thing.
man. Yeah, it's a good existence, man. No complaints here. What's this last part of your show, man?
All right, so here we go. So here's what I call it my famous, not so famous questions, right? So what I do is I'm gonna ask you a series of random questions, okay? I'm gonna start. I always start this way, okay? I always explain it this way. If you go to a ballpark, okay, when you go to Warner Park, right? What is your food and your drink of choice? What is it that you go in the first thing that you get there?
So, this will have to be pre some major health and dietary changes.
Okay.
Um, but so it would be the Oma dog, the
Oh,
Omaha dog,
love it. Hot dogs it
which
is. I
was
love
like,
it.
yeah, but covered in like pulled pork and then
Oh, that's
cheese on top of
amazing.
it. Um, and then and a Pepsi. That would be my go-to ballpark.
You're a man after my own heart. You just said Pepsi. We're good now. We're good. I love it. All right. Let's see here. Okay. Do you think that cereal is a soup?
Say that again.
Do you think that cereal is a soup?
I've never even pondered that.
Oh, see.
Wow.
I know,
I'm
right?
gonna
I'm
say no. I'm gonna say no
okay.
because you don't cook it.
I appreciate that. I like that answer. I don't think it's a soup either, but some people do.
I,
Some people
I
think
mean,
it,
I
you
get.
know.
I mean, now that you pointed out, I'm like, oh
let,
shit, I
let
can
me
see
I
the
gotta
like,
think about this.
yeah.
I'm about to get a text message from you like in a couple days. You know what, Ed?
You're like,
I
yeah,
rethink.
actually, can we change that answer?
You're right. Okay. All right. Sport would be the funniest to add mandatory amount of alcohol to? Like they got to drink alcohol in that sport.
I mean, I guess it's pretty basic, but hockey, because it's just like drunk
Oh my
people falling
God.
down and skating, dude. Like that's pretty.
Not only that, but then the fight, they're already fighting with
Oh,
each other. So imagine a
right.
drunk hockey
Just
player.
haymakers
Right.
and just
Somebody's like,
missing and then falling over on their
somebody's about
skates.
to get a hockey stick in their face, dude.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see here. So the zombie apocalypse is here. What is your weapon of choice?
Oh man. I mean, you got to go with the shotgun because you don't want them to get close to you, right?
No, you definitely don't want to get close to these suckers. So I like that. Okay, you're at a party, right? You're hanging out, you're at a party, cool, we're chilling, having some fun, some drinks. They ask you to play one song, right? What's the song that you're going to choose for to play?
Ooh. Am I trying to like please? Am I trying to play something I like, but also please the crowd?
Sure. Let's go with that.
Okay. Um, Probably some. I don't know if I get. So general something by Beastie Boys because I still feel like it's musically credible, but like people are super into it. If I
Yeah,
had to pick a single Beastie Boy song, then it would probably be "So What You Want."
I'm with it. You know what? Beastie Boys, no matter what, how old you get, it's still going to be cool. So
Yeah,
people are still like, even young generations are starting to really discover them, and it's amazing.
dude. I think my secondary answer would be if it's like if the people are way younger than us,
Mm-hmm.
Blink 182.
Oh,
I
hell yeah.
cannot believe my daughter and I cannot believe like I mean and God bless. I mean I've not that I know them personally, but have I mean I did radio interviews with them when I was in college. Like they've been around for so long, and it fascinates me that they're resonating with they just headlined Coachella and like I
Dude,
think
I
that's
still
probably what I
listen
would
to
go
Blink 182,
all
man.
the time, man. Yeah.
Yes. This is amazing. All right. Who was your favorite superhero growing up?
Oh, Wolverine. Don't even have to think
Oh,
about that
good
twice, dude.
answer.
Snakeity snack. There's no doubt at all.
Good. I love that. Okay. What smells better? Fresh cut grass or bread baking in the oven?
Oh man. I mean, I I'll go with fresh cut grass, but
Oh,
boy, that's
it's a
like a
close
toss
second.
up,
I know,
man.
I know. But there's something to fresh cut grass. They just,
Yeah, man. I
man,
mean, and we're on a baseball podcast. I should at least,
let's
but it is when it's
go.
but when it's on a ball field, man, it is just
It's even
pretty
better.
pretty
Yeah.
amazing.
So, all right. So let's see. If you were a fruit, what fruit would you be?
I would be raspberry or blueberries because they're actually really, really good for people.
They are. They're very. My daughter loves the hell out of some blueberries and raspberries,
Yeah,
man. She'll
right?
tear them suckers up. Okay. Couple more and then I'll leave you alone. I promise.
I know you.
If you could be in any movie, right? But just like live in that movie, right? What movie would it be?
Oh man. So I'm gonna go with a very like uncool answer.
Mhm.
Uh, but it ties to something I said before. It would be Empire Records, this like really obscure like
Yeah.
90s flop about kids working at a record store that had all kinds of has amazing actors and actresses in it. But
Yeah.
like I worked at a record store in college. I'm doing a record store documentary. Like, dude, if I could just, and it's a time in your life, it's all those folks. So if I'm living in that world, right? I was like, I'm in my 20s. I don't really have a whole lot of care in the world. It's
Just
like, all right,
chilling,
dude.
talking music.
Yeah.
Love it.
Make
I
sure I have
love.
enough money for beer. I would do that.
That's awesome. All right, last one. So you can hang out, have dinner with one player that's no longer with us, right? No longer around. Which player would you choose to bring back for one night to hang out, ask questions, have conversations, just chill?
Don't even have to hesitate. Jackie Robinson.
Oh, dude,
Yeah.
he was a close second to mine. Like, I mean, I have like my
What's yours?
Clemente.
Oh, dude. I'm an idiot. Of course, Puerto
Right.
Rican guy, dude. Dude, if it makes you like, I have like I can go pull it from the closet. I have like the Clemente like Roots of Fight like
Oh,
hoodie. Those are so cool. But yeah, man, I mean that would be because like such a great player. Like what an amazing guy. I mean, I'm sure he would roll his eyes. It would be the dumbest question, but it would just I would be fascinated to be like, bro, how did you persevere through that experience, man?
dude, for
Um,
real.
and excel and like be amazing on the field and like I mean, yeah, that would
Even
just
better
be
human being, right?
yeah. I mean,
Oh, for sure.
that would just be the dude.
I would also pick, you know who I would also pick? Satchel Paige.
Oh, dude.
The stories that dude could tell,
Yes. Oh,
right?
that's a great answer.
Satchel Paige was such an entertainer. I
Yeah.
would love to just hang out with the dude.
First question you'd have to ask him was like, okay, man, how old are you really?
Like, really, what
Because it's
is your
not
age?
documented anywhere. There always speculation that he was
Right.
like,
They said that he played until like his 60s. Like, I mean, come on.
yeah, those last couple years with because he played like a couple years with Oakland actually in
Hmm.
MLB. Like, yeah, dude,
He
that's a
played with
great
Cleveland
answer.
too. So, I mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's right.
the
Was he
Mexican
on the
League. He
was he
won a
on the
World
Cleveland team
Series.
that won? Okay, that's what I
Yeah.
thought. That 54 or whatever that was.
Oh my God, Jesus! Oh, that would be
Yeah,
such a
dude,
cool
that's a
person.
great answer. Woo, that's impressive. Yeah,
The dude would be, like I'm saying, like he just one, obviously you got to ask what the age is, but like two, like, dude, just tell me stories. That's all I want to know.
yeah. And he was a barnstormer, so the stories he's got from like, yeah, that would be killer.
I'll be so legit. So, Dan, dude, this has been such a fun interview.
Oh
Like
yeah,
I've
dude,
had,
thanks for having me on, dude. This was so much fun.
I loved it. It was like, like I said, just getting to like the behind the scenes of a documentary or like what goes on the stories. I absolutely had fun blast. You guys got to watch it. I'm going to put the link to the documentary on Peacock on Amazon. Put
Yeah,
your website, your social media stuff. You
yeah, it'd
guys
be
they got
awesome,
to
man.
follow you, dude. Because
Yeah,
this,
get those Peacock numbers up, man. Like,
hell
let's see
yeah,
what. Yeah, that was. I mean, that was crazy. I mentioned it earlier. I was logging in, I think, to watch something WWE, and it's like recommended for you. I'm like, wait, I made that. Like,
yeah. I recommend it
this
for
is
myself.
wild.
Oh
Or
wait,
we
I
made
did
that. I
that.
should say our team made that. But yeah, that was so. No, man, dude, this was super fun. Always down to talk baseball or talk about the movie. So thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, and then we'll stay in touch. Obviously.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. All right, take care, Ed.
Take care. Hope you guys enjoyed that episode with Dan. Now, make sure you guys are following Dan on social media as well as check out his website. A lot of cool stuff of his past, current, and future works that he's doing. And then as far as myself, make sure you guys are following me. I am on all the socials, even Threads now. That's right. I started a Threads account just to see how it goes, right? If it doesn't go anywhere, well, we all did it. So, and then make sure you guys are giving the podcast 5 stars. 5 stars means I go up on the rankings. More people get to listen to it. So, but before I go, gotta give you guys the joke of the episode, and here it is. The Flat Earth Society made a new documentary, which was nominated for a Golden Globe Award. All right, I see myself out. And until then, guys, keep on grinding and always support the minor leagues. See ya.